section. This is banqueting and mice management worker. We are going to look on how to develop an agent. An agent has the way of being developed, so we shall look on it. So the next one is an opening the meeting, how to open a meeting, and the next one is how to establish a ground rules, because the meeting should have rules and regulation that should consider. For instance, as I've told you, everyone can't take a time that he or he wills to use. No, there are some regulations during making an agent that's set it so as to guide everyone when he takes a word or when he's going to explain. There's some time he has to take. And in establishing a ground rules, we shall look on it. And the time management, how to manage a time, how to evaluate a meeting process, and the evaluation, the overall meeting, and even a closing. So that is what we are going to look in meeting management, how the meeting is being managed or how it is controlled. So in selecting participants, the decision about who is attends depends on what you want to accomplish already. So in the meeting, this may seem to obvious to states, but it is surprising how many meetings occurs without the right people there. So in a participant, you should look on the number, number per number, because every meeting should know the number of the participant. So the next one, don't depend on your own judgment about who should come. Ask several other people for their opinion as well. But the next one, if possible, call each person to tell them about the meeting, its overall purpose, and why the attendance is important. The next one, follow up your call with a meeting notice, including the purpose of meeting, where it will be held and when, and the list of participants and whom to contact if they have questions. So that was a point one in selecting participant. The next one, let's look on how to develop an agenda. So agendas, as I've said above, it's a list of those things or the topics that will be discussed within a meeting. So by selecting or by developing an agenda together with the key participant in the meeting. So in develop an agenda together with the key participant in the meeting, you should know or you should look on the key participant, because in a meeting all participants are not equal. There are some key participants in a meeting. So think of what overall outcome you want from the meeting and what activities need to occur to reach that outcome. So an agenda should be organized so that these activities are conducted during the meetings. In an agenda also, state the overall outcome that you want from the meeting. That was under developing agenda. The next one is an opening meeting. So already the agenda has already developed and you have already selected the participants. So how to open the meeting? So already start on time. Always start on time. Don't waste your time. And don't think that you will start a meeting where all people are coming or have already came. No, start a meeting on a time. This respects those who showed up on time and reminds late comers that the scheduling is serious. You take it as serious. The next one, welcome attendees and thank them for their time. Thank them for the time. And reviewing the agenda at the beginning of each meeting or of each meeting. So giving participants a chance to understand or proposed major topics, change them and accept them. So the next one, note that a meeting recorder, if used, will take a minute and provide them back for each participant show after the meeting. In this opening meeting, we also clarify your role in the meeting. So that is what will involve in an opening meeting. So the main element, open it on a time. Okay, the next one, it's a time management. The time management is something that mostly ignored by the people, but it's main element that should be considered while we are in a meeting or while you are planning for your meeting. In a time management, one of most difficult facilitation tasks is a time management. Time seems to run out before tasks are completed. So you may ask attendees to help you to keep track of the time. The track of the time should be tracked well, because if you don't set a time well, your meeting will be disorganized and will look a focus. If your meeting look a focus, the objective you've already set, you will never achieve to it. That's why you have to look on a time, and the time management should be focused. The next one is what we call establishing ground rule for the meeting. The ground rule should be considered. In a ground rule, it pays to have a few basic ground rules that can be used for most or for the most of your meeting. This ground rule cultivates the basic ingredients needed for a successful meeting. For powerful ground rule are, for instance, participated and gets focus, maintaining momentum, and reach closure. That is one of the powerful ground rule. The next one is list your primary ground rule on the agenda should be listed. The next one, if you have a new attendees who are not used to your meetings, you may review each ground rule. You may review it. So keep the ground rule posted at all time. Post your ground rule in everywhere where everyone can see. That is where should be placed. The next one, let's remove those tips. You should look where we are planning the agent and look on determining the site. Already when you are planning meeting, you should determine the site. One, the facility service level and the perception should be there in determining the site. The next one is the price. The price should be indicated, a city or geographical location where the meeting will take place, and restaurant service and its quality. And even a personal safety should be indicated, and the local interest should be there in determining the site where the meeting will take place. It should be there in determining the site. So the next one is evaluation of the meeting process. So the evaluation of a meeting process should be considered, because the people will often complain about the meeting beginning. A complaint waste of time. Yeah, but they only say so after the meeting. Getting their feedback during the meeting when you can improve the meeting process right away. And evaluation a meeting only at the end of the meeting is usually too late to do anything about participant feedback. In a meeting management, or when you are managing a meeting, there's another thing you don't have to forget. The next or the last one is a closing meetings. So when you are closing a meeting, there are some things or there are some highlights you have to look on. So always end the meetings on a time and attempt to end on a positive note. When you are planning a meeting, when you are managing a meeting, start on a time and end on a time, so as to avoid those people who go and blame you about. Also, when you are not managing a time, there are some people who likes to follow or troop their things on a time. So when you close a time or in a letter of like 5 minutes, it doesn't make sense. So in this one, always end a meeting on a time and attempt to end on a positive note. So at the end of a meeting, review action and assignment, and set the time for the next meeting, and ask each person if they can make it or not. So to get the commitment. So when you are closing a time, ask everyone, or make sure that you have already set a time for the next meeting. The next one, when you are closing a time, clarify the meeting minutes, and all an action will be reported back to a member at most a week. So this helps to keep momentum going. So that is what you have to note when you are closing a meeting. So the next one, let's jump on a decision making. So where and when or which. So you have to make a decision. So you need to make a decision in your daily life. So let's look on decision making. So whether we will need to make a decision when we are in a MICE or when you are in a banqueting. So in a banqueting, so you will need to make a decision. So much of what managers and supervisors do is to solve a problem and make a decision. So new manager and supervisor in a particular often solve problems and decision by reacting to them. So they are under the gun. They are under the gun. So and stressed and very short for time. That's why we need to make a decision, or we needed to know how to make a decision. And so let's look and let's come and in a problem, so as to know how to make a decision. So first of all, define the problem. So before you make a decision, this is often whereby or where the people struggle. They react to what they think the problem is. Instead, they seek to understand more about why you think there is a problem. So the next one, define a problem. Because when the problem has already happened, so know and define a problem. So in define the problem with input from yourself and others. So ask yourself and others the following questions. These are some questions you should ask yourself and ask others when you are defining a problem. So what can you see that cause to think there is a problem? What is happening? That is our one question. Next one, how is happening? And when it is happening? That is a question, and with whom it is happening, so as to know the cause of the problem. So with whom is it happening? There is a hint. One, don't jump to who is causing the problem. So when we are stressed and blaming is often one of our first reactions. To be an effective manager, so you need to address an issue more than people. The next question, why is it happening? Why is it happening? That is a question you have to ask where you are defining a problem. The next one, write it down a 5-sentence description of the problem in a terms of the following should be happening, but isn't it? The next, the following is happening and should be. That is a sentence, the 5th sentence. Oh, okay. As much as possible, be specific in your description. Be specific, including what is happening, and where and how, and within whom and why it has happened. That is why you have to know the problem and prioritize the problem. When you are defining a problem, you should prioritize. So if you discover that you are looking at several related problems, then prioritize which one you should address it first, because you should know who should be addressed. The next one, understand your role in that problem, because when you're solving a problem, you should know your role. The next step, you should look, when you are making a decision, look at the potential cause for the problem. Potential cause, you should know him. So it's amazing how much you don't know about what you don't know. It's critical to get input from other people who notice the problem and who are effective by it. So that's why you should look at the potential cause for the problem. The next point, identify alternative for approach to resolve the problem. You should identify the alternatives so as to make approach to resolve the problem. At this point, it's useful to keep other involved, unless you're facing a personal and or an employee performance problem. So brainstorming for solution to the problem, very simply put, brainstorming is collective as many ideas as possible, then screening them to find the best idea. Next point, you have to select an approach to resolve the problem. So in selecting, or when you are selecting the best approach, consider which approach is the most likely to solve the problem for a long time. That is a question you should ask yourself. Which approach is most likely to solve the problem for a long time? And which approach is the most realistic to accomplish for now? Do you have the resources, or are they affordable? Do you have enough time to implement the approach, or what is extent of risk associated with each alternative? So in next one, let's look on plan the implementation of the best alternative. So welcome again, let's meet on the next video.